Hey everybody, welcome to episode 20. Today we're going to continue with the official Handbook of the Marvel Universe Deluxe Edition, starting in 1985. Um, so I covered the first 14 issues, which was, you know, uh, basically A through Z, including all of the alien races. Uh, Today we're going to cover, there's two small parts that I'll put them together here to finish this up. One is the Book of the Dead, and the other one is the updates of 1989. So let's start with the Book of the Dead first, which essentially is issues 16 through 20. Here's my issues 16 through... they're all over the place. 16 through 20. And then I also, again, have the Essentials Guide, which, for anybody who didn't tune in yesterday, they're all in black and white in this book. Kind of collects all of those issues. It technically collects issue 15. For some reason, from the other Essentials, they spilled issue 15 over in... Sorry, issue 15 over into this volume, and then they kind of continued, because they had all the alien races in it, and then they continued again with issue 16, which is the first Book of the Dead. So, first thing let's go over to that. Oh, by the way, you might have noticed I took my vinyl records down off the wall. They were all hung in their bags. I'm trying to put them together in a different spot. I might get a console, hi-fi console with storage underneath, and start putting them in there. But I wanted to pull them off the wall for now. I might do a video where I go over the my vinyl collection. It's all about collecting, but it might not be specifically to this, to comic books and this stuff. But it's definitely 80s, and I guess if you like music, which is pretty much everybody, you might want to check that one out as well. But I'll probably be down the line a little ways. But for now, let's get back to the Book of the Dead here. Let me go to the second screen here, and then I'll pull up me there. Hello. I don't know if you noticed, I'm wearing my hat today. I haven't worn my hat in a very long time, so figured I'd just throw that on today. Alright, let's go. So, this is issue 16, Book of the Dead. I got it pulled up already in the CBR. So here's the files here with all the covers that stretch out like that. These covers as well also interconnect, so that was kind of cool. Let's go over the first one. I just first read up the cover. You're going to notice Captain Marvel here. You'll probably notice the original Black Knight. Now, most of these characters are older, obviously, and not all of them, but up until this date, which I will look up the actual, it says June, I think this might be 87 now, I believe, but we'll notice that a lot of these characters, as if you've read some of the old back issues during, the Bronze Age, a lot of these characters, by the farm, like the original Baron Zemo, original Black Knight. That's why at this time you'll notice there's they also have Black Knight 2. Oh, it's after Black Knight 1. It'll say, I think it says Baron Zemo, and then he says Baron Zemo 1 in this too. Because I kind of got confused myself when I first started reading this. I was like, oh, I didn't know there was another Baron Zemo. I didn't know there was another Black Knight. But yeah, they're either dead or, again, I believe they call this the Book of the Dead, but I think some of them are inactive because let's see. I know Jessica Drew is in the regular series. I know she was inactive at the time. She's in the original Marvel Universe Volume 1 as in the Book of the Dead and inactive. So I think they note that the character's inactive but not dead in the first 15 issues, and then this is specifically the Book of the Dead. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I can remember. So here's Beyonder here, right here. So let's go into this one. Again, same layout. So this was June 1987. Okay. So I was just coming out of 8th grade at Ruther Junior High. This is when I met one of my good friends, my lifetime friends. I met him at this time. I met him basically over the break when I switched from West Junior High to Ruther Junior High, because we moved from downtown Rochester up to the Rochester Estates Trailer Park with my mom. and that was the address we were using for my school, for my schooling. So my dad lived way north of Rochester, way up in Lakeville area, Addison Township at the time. So I wasn't going to go to, I usually went over there on the weekends. So most of the weekdays I would be at my mom's. And at this time, so we had just met each other. We pretty much, bonded together over the comics and the Marvel superhero role-playing game. So this summer, there's a lot of comic book fetching, running around. There was a comic shop called Kay's Book Exchange. It was more of a paperback exchange. This really old lady, well, she wasn't really old, but I mean, she was a real nice lady, older lady. She kind of reminded me of my aunt. Anyway, she ran this paperback exchange, and predominantly she swapped romance novels. That was the big thing. And she had like a whole room of just romance novels, and I'd see older ladies, sometimes young-ish ladies, but they'd come in with a grocery bag, a paper grocery bag just filled with romance novels that they just devoured, and they wanted another grocery bag, and that's primarily what she traded in. And she sold them as well. She had a small science fiction section. She had other books like that, but predominantly was the romance novels because I think she was into them as well. But she was also very much into comic books, and she had a pretty decent comic book section by like her main desk, where she'd check everybody out. And we discovered this place kind of on a fluke. I think I looked it up in the yellow pages under comics, and it just said Kay's Book Exchange, but it didn't specifically say anything. And I remember, I think my sister, it was 87, so I think she just got her new car because she just graduated from University of Michigan, and she gave, what do you call it? I think we went to Alibi Pizza, the old Alibi, not the newer restaurant style, but more barn Alibi, which was like really good pizza up in north of Rochester, and almost into Troy. I think it might technically be Troy, but she would, we went to go pick up a pizza, and I think we went to Troy Stamp and Coin as well. I think we might have been coming back from a mall or something like that. Oh, I can't remember exactly, but we were coming back from somewhere, and I said, "Hey, can we stop on Auburn Road, just to Auburn and Livernois?" I said, "Just off of Auburn and Livernois, there's a place called Kay's Book Exchange. I want to check it out." So we stopped there. I had to twist my sister's arm a bit, but anyways, we stopped there, and I walked in. I was like, "Oh, she has comics," and she had a wall, racks of new release comics on the wall. And she had some pricier ones behind her desk because her desk was right in the corner. And then she had she used the short boxes to save space because she had this little alcove in the back of her store, which is basically like an old house. And this was like more like the porch area of this old house. And, she had windows or whatever. She had a small alcove, and I think there was a closet behind that one room, where she kept like supplies and stuff. But, so she needed short boxes. So she had looked like all custom made, wood fabricated shelving that went up to the window. So like here's the window, but you look out into the main road there, which would have been Auburn Road, and then her comic shelves came up to the window. They didn't go past the window, so she could still look out. It was kind of cool. And they're all short boxes, but there was, I think, 4 tiers high of short boxes, I believe. 4 or 3 tiers high, and she had all back issues in there, and she had a lot of good stuff. I mean, over a couple of years, I poured through almost all of her back issues, went through every single box, and found a lot of good stuff in there. But yeah, so that became another go-to place to go to comics. So when that summer came along, and I met my buddy, and neither one of us had a driver's license yet, so we would bike everywhere, and sometimes we would bike on the same bike. We did this weird thing where I think he didn't necessarily like freestyling pegs. He had a mountain bike because he was a taller guy, and so he had like these, I don't know, it seemed like these knobs, or the bolts on the back wheel were heavier, so I could stand my feet on it and put my hand on his back, and we'd ride that way. And we'd double up on this bike and ride across Rochester because either like my bike wasn't working or it wasn't available at the time. I mean, we're coming from somewhere else, or we just walk. But and I'd take all my money, which is usually $5 or $6, $7 in cash, and then probably another $5 or $6, $7 in quarters and change, and I'd roll it into my sock. Because I had shorts on. It was the summer, and I didn't have pockets on the shorts, so I'd roll my money into my sock, and so by the time I got there, I'd throw down $5 or $6 in sweaty sock change on the counter to buy comic books. Or I did this weird thing where I could take money and I'd tuck it in my shirt, go double it over, and then stick it in the waistband of your pants and hope it doesn't spill all out, while you're riding your bike or walking. I don't know why we just didn't have a wallet or pockets, apparently that technology was not, was lost on us. So, and I wasn't just the only one who did it. He did it too. So, and I knew other people who would do that too. I guess it was just a thing in the 80s to tuck your change in your sock, all your money in your sock. The good thing is if you got robbed and, hey, I don't have anything on me, you're probably going to check your sock. So anyways, so we'd go up there all the time. And so it's summer of 87 and this Book of the Dead was coming out. They already finished up all of the other regular Marvel Universe. And like I said, I'm drawing heavy out of this great book, learning all the characters, learning as much about it as possible. And, going through here for the first time, I just started coming across characters that I'd never... I mean, I've seen like Airwalker. Some of them were repeated. Not a lot of them, but a couple were repeated because they had died. They had shown up like in A through K in the first part of the series, and then they actually died between that. So by the time they printed the Book of the Dead, so sometimes they double up as in they're dead now. And the cool thing is, I'll show you. There's the 8 men. I don't know if you remember this. What's weird about this is they give the Annie men, but they don't give the girl, like the bee or bug girl. She's not in this. It's weird. Maybe she didn't die. Maybe everybody bought the farm but these guys. I don't know. I just remember them showing up in that two-parter and right when Claremont took over for X-Men, just after Giant Size with Cockrum doing the art. But so you would get the first appearance, you probably get the origin issue, and then you get the final appearance, which is obviously their death of some sort. They've... I don't know about this character bearing blood specifically, but I don't know. Did Captain America chop his head off with his shield? I don't know. It's cool panel though. So I didn't read a lot of Captain America on his own back in those days. I went back and read like the Zek stuff, and I really like Diamond Lil, and went back looking through her issues where she show up. And I'll get around that. I'm going to do probably an episode on Comic Vines at some point because I really use it a lot, to track characters more. I mean, this is essentially what Comic Vines is now, back then in paper form. But you could track characters, and it's really cool. Excuse me. So, yeah, there's Baron von Stucker. There's the Baron Zemo one. Like I said, when this came out, this is when because I didn't have those first few Avengers issues that he shows up with the Brotherhood of Evil. I think they had the listing for the Brotherhood of Evil. Maybe I saw it there because they would have Baron Zemo and Baron Zemo 2 in the same listing with the heads for the actual group. But there he is there. He's getting a lot of pages too. Pretty predominant character. I remember this in the not from then, but reading those Avengers issues later on. I remember when he used I think he was in South America, and he used all these, whatever they were, these locals. He used them as a walkway, so he wouldn't walk on the ground, he'd walk on their backs. I just thought that was weird. It totally wouldn't fly nowadays. But hey, he's a villain. Villains do villainous things, right? So if anybody's offended by it, you should be, because he's a villain. He offends. So... anyways, Basilisk. There's the Beyonder. Of course, Beyonder was the big star in Secret Wars 2. So there's him. You know, I haven't read Secret Wars 2 in a very long time. I can't remember how he buys the farm. Kicks the bucket, or whatever you want to call it. I use all my euphemisms for death, since this is the Book of the Dead. Big Man. There's Black Knight 1. Black Knight 2. I guess we're on Black Knight 3 now. Blackout. Blizzard. Bucky. Oh yeah, Bucky, of course. There's Captain Marvel. Which I don't know if anybody even remembers. Captain Marvel. I mean, I do. And people my generation probably do. Anybody younger probably doesn't know who this is. But when I first started collecting comics, and, you know, like I said, picking up a lot of older, not super old, but, you know, a few years old of back issues, and it seemed like there was just a glut of these comics you get in the quarter boxes. So I had a bunch of these. Wait, let's switch. Oh, sorry. I'm typing this in the afternoon. I'm getting the afternoon sleepies. All of my stuff is worn off for the day. Let's see. Captain Marvel, his origin. Where's his final appearance? A Marvel graphic novel number. Oh, if it's still the first. Oh, I think the very first Marvel graphic novel was Captain Marvel, I think. They did a whole series of Marvel graphic novels, because those were kind of new at the time. So they kind of really wanted to let you know it was magazine size too. It wasn't standard comic size. And those graphic novels, some great ones too, like the She-Hulk one, the Sensational She-Hulk one, the New Mutants, that was their first appearance. But let's keep going here. The Carrion. I'm just trying to see. Oh yeah, Sharon Carter. Trying to see if there's some groups. I'm gonna flip through these kind of quick. There's not a lot of them, so I figured I could flip through more. I mean, flipping through the first 15 issues would have taken forever. There's Death Adder. They give some stuff on strength levels here. Oh, that's cool. I didn't notice that before. So a lot of this, yeah, this does coincide with the Marvel Superheroes role-playing game when they talk about, like, different strength levels. They got Class 1000 here, tonnage range. I think so. Let's go strongest here. Really, Beta Ray Thor. I think it's called Beta Ray Bill. He has a Class 1000 strength. Yeah, this is strength levels. So like upper limits of, they're not going to talk about like average humans. So basically going for the upper limits of human level range, basically bodybuilders or, you know, big strong men, and then you go into superhuman, 1,000 pounds. I don't think there's a strong man alive today that could lift 1,000 dead. I'm pretty sure this means pressing, I don't think it's deadlift. I think it's press. That's how it's denoted in the Marvel superhero games. They say how much a character can press. A strong man might be able to deadlift 1,000 pounds, maybe, like in like a small car or something, or the end of a car. I don't know about power lifters, how much they actually press over their head, but I don't think there's anybody who can press 1,000 pounds over their head. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's where pretty much the superhuman levels start there. And of course once it goes after, 1,500 pounds, it goes into tons. And then it goes up from there. A cannonball can lift a ton? Huh. Some of these characters, I forget how strong they are. And it's weird because in the comics, you don't really see them perform a lot of feats of strength. I mean, a lot of them do, obviously Hulk and the big heavy hitters, but you get characters like Cannonball, because you just imagine him just punching through things with his powers, flying through things. Killer Shrike, Werewolf, Ursa Major. Yeah, some of these characters. Lalandra. Have you ever seen Lalandra press a ton over her head? It's weird. Or do any kind of feats of strength. I mean, she's probably been in fights that I've seen, but it doesn't seem like she's done a lot of feats of strength. Tigra is a good example. 5 tons. That's kind of... Sprite? Kitty Pryde can lift 5 tons? Somehow I don't think that's correct. Yeah, that's weird. Krang? Deathbird, 6 tons? I don't know. It seems... I mean, this is official Marvel, so it's got to be canon, but I don't know. Some of these I find very hard to believe. I'm at the cross-reference with my Marvel superhero game sometime and see if they're close. Thundra, 60 tons on Thundra. Okay, Thundra is wrestling, right? If she could press 60 tons and she's wrestling, even if she's wrestling somebody who's as strong as she is, I mean, she's gonna whip these people like through the ceiling of the Madison Square Garden. Which reminds me, there's getting into the grapplers, there's a character I really like in here, and she's in the Book of the Dead because she bought the farm. She'll probably show up in T, but let's go to this one here. Drax the Destroyer, of course, Gamora. They buy it in, with Thanos, I believe. I didn't read that. It's before Infinity Gauntlet, or is it in Infinity Gauntlet? You know, I guess it's in. I thought Infinity Gauntlet was after this. This is 87. I thought Infinity Gauntlet was like 90 or 91, but I could be wrong. I didn't read Infinity Gauntlet when it came out. I didn't care for it, and again, most people didn't. The people who said they were right on board, they were either diehard Marvel fans or they're just, trying to look cool, because I don't know. The Infinity Gauntlet wasn't huge that I can remember amongst people that I knew, and I'm not saying I knew everybody. I'm sure other people out there all over the the world, country, whatever. But like I'm saying, at that time it was all it's pretty much and then when Jim Lee and stuff got on, and then going into in Image and stuff, a lot of people forgot about those other characters, but they're still going on. They're still doing them. Let's see what we've got in here. Oh, this one's washed out a little bit. Oh, Doctor's Son. My son loves Doctor's. Why? It's a pancake head. Put a brain in a jar on top of a gold robot. Yeah, kids are going to love him. Dorma. Dracula. There's Drax. The Enforcer. Yeah, I remember him showing up in issue 30, something, 34, 35 of Spider-Woman. I did a commission based on that issue. Executioner, so he bought the farm too. Okay, I was about to say, because he didn't seem to be showing up a lot after with What's-Her-Face, the Enchantress. Yeah, it's still kind of her older costume, so when did he die? Final appearance of Thor 362. That still might have been mid-80s. I can't say his name. Fafner. We'll be out of time. Or 22 minutes. Okay, good. We're not doing too bad. Hopefully we'll be able to get to the updates. I don't want to. I'm just going to kind of skip. Okay, there's Gamora. Of course, she dies, and her final issue is as living corporeal being. Avengers Annual number 7. So is that when? Yeah. So that's not Infinity Gauntlet. So wait, I thought she was in Infinity Gauntlet. I guess they bring her back to life again. I don't know too much about her backstory other than very basic stuff. I guess that would be basic stuff, but I don't know that particular information. Let's see. It's a cool looking character. Of course, wouldn't fly today with the old swastika on him. Green Goblin, yeah. Of course he comes back. Grim Reaper. Guardian. I don't think Guardian ever comes back because Heather Hudson takes over. That's his wife. She takes over as Vindicator. There's Heather Hudson there. John Byrne drawing. This one's really washed out. Again, I really want to get that omnibus at some point. I mean, do I need the third or fourth version of the exact same comics again? But I don't own a perfect copy, meaning like a magazine stock, recolored version of these comics, and I'd like that. So I kind of want the omnibuses. And I haven't seen any scans of the omnibuses, so because people are probably not going to tear it up to scan it. So, let's see. Oh, yeah, it's a Hangman. Yeah. Oh, did he die in that? Oh, Bizarre Adventures. Oh, Bizarre Adventures, Spider-Woman number 50. I think that's their last issue. Okay. Yeah, I know he showed up kind of early in Spider-Woman. Let's see here. I got the hate monger. Hobgoblin 1, that's right. He dies at the... Excuse me. Spider-Man versus Wolverine #1 in a flashback, and then Amazing Spider-Man 289. Yep, that's when we find out that he's Ned Leeds, and then he buys the farm. Of course, everybody comes back because McFarlane brought him back. Maybe it was somebody. I know I'm fuzzy on the story on those McFarlane issues too, whether or not that was actually Ned Leeds or it was somebody else. So they got him in here as Edward Ned Leeds. So that was this comic came out after that. Well, obviously because he's dead. Yeah, of course it's going to come after that because I'm pretty sure he dies in his revealed as Ned Leeds in the same issue. If I can remember, I remember that story too. I remember getting the comic. We're at Winchester Mall in the movie theater, 87. We might have been seeing Willow or some other movie. I can't remember. And I was with my buddy, the same buddy I'm talking about. And anyways, I wasn't reading it. He was reading it in the theater before the movie started. And he's like, "Oh!" And I'm like, "Is it Ned Leeds?" And he says, "It might be." Or he said it might be. I said, "It's Ned Leeds, isn't it?" He says, "Yeah, it's Ned Leeds." One of my favorite characters, though. One of my favorite characters. Loved the Hobgoblin, and especially at that time period. So much more than Green Goblin. Pumpkin bombs, everything about the Hobgoblin. I was all about him. Yeah, right there. There's the scene from that issue. That might be the cover, or it's the splash. It's either the cover or the splash page. I think it's the splash page in the inside. Can't remember what was on the cover. I thought he was on the cover. Oh no, it's on the cover. And they have like a question mark over his head. That's what it is. Yeah. All right, so we got through that one. Where are we at? Okay, we'll whip through these kind of quick, then we'll get to the updates. There's MODOK, of course. I remember that issue. It's a creepy issue when MODOK gets killed. And as Captain America's like, oh. I think it was a Captain America issue, too. It's just like, oh, he went so terribly. It was really creepy the way MODOK dies. It's actually funny to think about. Where are we still? Still in October 87. Okay, so I'm in freshman in high school at this point. Just started high school for the first time. So yeah, you got the Squadron Supreme guys. Glasses. Jackal. Where is what's her? Oh, Jocasta. I really like Jocasta. I like the ladies. I even like the metal ladies, the robot ones. What do we got here? Letha. She's one of the grapplers. Is that her grappling? She's grappling. I really like the grapplers. It's women's wrestling, and with the thing, it's hilarious. I mean, it's great issues. Lilith, Living Monolith. We're not T yet. I'll show you one of my favorite grappler. She's coming up, and it's kind of funny because she shares the same name as another character who's not the same character. So there was some confusion there. Excuse me, sorry. Between yawning and hiccuping here, I tell ya. Midgard Serpent. Let's see, there's MODOK. Does it show his creepy scene where he's dead? No, it doesn't. It's just weird looking. And they got his dead body with his giant head laying on like a table to examine the body. It's really weird. Let's see here. Now, spoiler alert. Yes, this is the Book of the Dead, so we're talking about all the characters that buy it. So if you didn't know that a character buys it, it's been out since 1987. So, I don't know what the statute of limitations are on spoilers, but I think they've expired by now. Strider, or Porcupine. Thought it was so stupid with him and that She-Hulk attorney-at-law TV show, and they had the porcupine scene. I like Porcupine. I thought he looked at a very interesting, costume. Really great, really good drawing here too. Totally just butchered him in this show. I think that's a Mike Zeck drawing there. We're still on these, yeah. Let's see. Purple Man, Red Guardian. Okay, we're getting close. I like the Red Guardian too, or the other girl too, because she's a lady from Russia. Red Skull. Very RoboCop. Very RoboCop there. Who are these? Oh, Salem 7. Okay. Satana, she's got a really nice look to her. Great drawing. People? Scourge's victims. Okay. I haven't looked at the Book of the Dead in a long time. Oh, so that's right. Snowbird buys it. I haven't looked at the Book of the Dead in a very long time, so some of these scenes go. Obviously, Gwen Stacy's going to be the Book of the Dead. There's the scene there when she snaps her neck and Spider-Man tries to save her. Again, statute limitations on spoilers have expired. I love the way that John Romita, this right here, especially this right here, these scenes where he draws her hair like that. She's got the real pointy eyebrows, and so I love that. Ironmonger. That must be what's the size? Yep, Obadiah Stane. It's issue 2200 of Iron Man. It's when he's in the Silver Centurion armor. I love that issue. And that's when he fights Obadiah in the Ironmonger costume or armor. What's it say? Data corrections. Okay, yeah. So they would also give you like corrections and stuff, or either screwed up or things changed or whatever. They'll give you strength levels. Oh yeah, blah 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 blah. I'll read it at some point. All right, I believe this is issue 20, so she doesn't show up till issue 20, huh? All right, Stick. Yeah, of course we know who Stick is. What's his face? Yeah. Oh, this guy, Tarantula. Terex. There's Thanos. When's this guy? He dies. Final appearance. Marvel 2-in-1 Annual 2. Again, does that Infinity Wars? Is that after Infinity Wars? It seems like if it's not by 1987. Again, I'm going to have to check out my Infinity Wars. I could have sworn that was from like the early 90s or 90, right around that time. Because I know the I could think of the cover and stuff, and I thought that even like showed up in like Wizard magazine. That was definitely till the 90s, and it had that more 90s style too. So, again, they could have brought him back and then killed him off again. Who knows? Tom Thumb, isn't that the guy Tyrion from Game of Thrones played? I can't remember. Where it makes the hammer, or makes the Thor the new weapon or whatever. Maybe not. He's doing technical stuff here, so maybe that is. Alright, Thunderbird, obviously he buys it early in Uncanny X-Men. I think like the second issue after, or the first issue after Giant Size, which was like, what was it, 90 something? 98? I can't remember. I mean, it's funny, I know all that stuff so much, but some of the numbers, it's hard to keep all of that information in my head just perfectly. Yeah, he's on that Harrier and ends up buying it. Which is, I guess, is what they're kind of going for with like the X-Men cartoon. And that character Morph was created, I think, only for the cartoon. And he dies, and Wolverine's all, ticked off about it. So I think that's kind of like playing off of that. I don't know why didn't you just, I don't know, whatever. Thunderbolt, there she is. Titania. Okay, so obviously there's a Titania 2, which is, I don't know if she's the arch nemesis. I think she's the arch nemesis of She-Hulk. I like that Titania, but she didn't come about until Secret Wars, the Secret Wars comic. It's her first appearance. Her and Volcana. I think they were created specifically for that comic. But before that, it was this Titania. And brunettes, I love brunette. I love brunettes with the blue-black hair. There's so many of them. You know, it's all essentially Wonder Woman. You know, we've got the brunette, long hair brunette with the blue-black hair and some kind of headband or something, just like Wonder Woman's tiara. You know, she's big, muscular. You know, it's Wonder Woman in Marvel. You know, of course she's got different. She's more, you know, they're more villainous. They're more like, you know, you know, they're all ornery because they're wrestlers. You know, like old school wrestlers. But yeah, I really like this character a lot. Definitely one of my favorites. And then yeah, it's scene right down there. She's assassinated in the shower, which I think was pretty risque or provocative for the time. And then I think the Letha or one of the other girls goes in, or maybe it's a bunch of them, and they find her body in there. And Thing goes on a rampage. I think did they think Thing did it or something? I can't remember. I haven't read an issue in a while. I know they all pile up on Thing. Oh, lucky Rock Man. Yeah, there she is wrestling. That's the scene where she's wrestling Thundra at the garden when they want to. That's the reason they hire Thundra, is they want to use her. I remember the little midget guy, whatever his name is. Oh, the Irish guy was the guy that runs the club. What's the little guy's name? Anyways, he's like, "Hey, Toots, I'm gonna make you a star, make millions off you," type of thing. You know, very that kind of voice, and has her wrestle at the garden against Titania and Thundra. And I think this is from the Dazzler issue. I can't remember. Toro, kind of a Human Torch guy. Okay, I'll leave her behind. Union Jack. Great costume design. Great costume design. You know, incorporating the flag and characters. You know, like the Canadian maple leaf on the on Guardian and Vindicator, and then, you know, obviously putting American flag with what's his face, Captain America. But yeah, putting that Union Jack there with Union Jack, pretty cool. Who is that vamp? Who is that? She's nice looking. I like that. I like that hair. I like that cool. It's almost like the hair that Jean Grey has when she's in the Hellfire Club. There, I guess it's just pulled back and then the bun, but just the way it kind of fluffs out like that. I pick up on little things like that because it's fun to draw that stuff. I like the boots. Look great. Yeah, it's a good looking character. She's dead. It's the Book of the Dead. So where are we at? 35 or 38. Okay, let's wrap. We're at the last issue of this anyways. We'll wrap this up. I don't think there's anybody else in here of note. Oh, that guy's Wraith is pretty cool. A zombie. Okay, let's go to the updates. So we'll do that. I think I showed these last video too. Updates, and there's the essentials. Black and whites. Master Mold. We'll see him. He's in here. Let's go to... Oh, you know what? Darn it. I forgot. I put these on... I put a lot of stuff on my tablet so I could read it. And I was trying to move files around. And I deleted my update CVRs from my PC. But I do have them. They're on my tablet. Again, I mean, I'm not going to throw my tablet up there. It would take a while to transfer them over, so I guess I can't transfer them over. Well, we are getting into the video pretty good, so I'm just going to point out a few, I'll show you the black and whites. Just point out a few noteworthy entries. Obviously, one of them, of course, is the inclusion of Excalibur. Remember, this is the updates 1989, and I think it was the 88 or 89s when Excalibur 1 came out. I got it down there. Can't remember. And then the Fallen Angels. That was another one. So that's a noteworthy one. There's also, it's all in this. All the issues are in this one book. Frightful Four. I'm pretty sure the Petrified Man, Garrock, I don't think he was in the original Marvel Universe. They included him in here. I know he was in the... I mean, he's from the Savage Lands, but I think he showed up in that annual number 12, art by Arthur Adams. I think the art in this is by Arthur Adams, too, of X-Men. Gateway during the Down Under X-Men. He's the guy that had the bolas that could transform. Yeah, there he is. There, the bolas. He could transport them, teleport them anywhere. There's Genosha. Yeah, Genosha. This is all the good stuff. This is all the stuff that happened up to '89. Especially my favorite stuff in the X-Men. Gossamer. I like her character. She must be New Mutants, maybe. Yep, New Mutants. Sorry, I'm just gonna go through and there is some noteworthy stuff. He has a tight harpoon. One of the see the Marauders? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and then the Headman. There's a scene from the She-Hulk, sensational She-Hulk comic, which again that debuted in '89. There's a McFarlane Hobgoblin. Because that's, yeah, so is it the same? Nope, it's a different person. Yep, that's right. Jason Philip McIndale. Or McIndale Jr. That's right. That's right. It was somebody else taking on the mantle of it. Now it's coming back to me. It's 14-year-old me would have loved this drawing, but I gotta say 50-year-old me thinks it's utter trash, personally. There's Ruby Tuesday, part of the Headman. Like I said, unlike anybody back in those days, I mean, we would all be like, oh, if it's not done by McFarlane, if it's not done by Arthur... Well, I mean, Arthur Adams, I still like his stuff today, but there was it was like that new generation, the cutting-edge comics way of drawing it, and it's just like, oh, if it's not these guys, we don't like it. So I glossed over so many great comic book artists back in the day because I just, I was a kid. There's another McFarlane Hulk. My buddy, he's got a drawing I did of a McFarlane version of Hulk back in high school, and he still makes fun of me. He still got the drawing. He still makes fun of me because I added all these extra muscles that aren't really there. So did McFarlane. It was just that got carried away. Here's something that somebody pointed out that I heard recently. So everybody it's like, he's talking about line mileage, all the line mileage, so many lines. People are like, oh man, look at all the lines that McFarlane puts into his drawings. It makes it so detailed. Has anybody ever seen like a Bernie Wrightson drawing? Or like any of the Bernie Wrightson Swamp Things from back in the day? You want to talk about line mileage. I mean, McFarlane's minuscule compared to that. I mean, a lot of those older school guys, especially in like the heart of the Bronze Age, like right in the 70s, tons of line mileage. But, people don't like to... People, either they don't know or they don't want to go back and check the, the history of stuff. Oh yeah, Iron Fist I don't think was featured in the other one, too. Like I said, this is the update, Iron Man's new armor. There's Jubilee. It's a weird version of Jubilee. I guess that's when she's got like everybody. She got like Dazzler's costume, Rogue's costume, Storm's jacket. She like put this jacket together. I vaguely remember. I mean, I know about when Jubilee first showed up, but I know how the cartoon plays out where she's in the mall. I think it's relatively the same. I can't remember. I haven't read those issues in so long. Like I said, there's certain cutoff of of X-Men. But I mean, that was 89. Okay, so this is 89. I was still reading. It must have happened. I know it happened after Inferno. It must have been right after Inferno. Well, yeah, wasn't it? It was like the second or third issue after Inferno where all the girls go to the mall. I think that's when they meet Jubilee. Yeah, that's right. That's how they kind of did that in the cartoon as well. I'll have to brush up on that period of time. Leech, the guy shows up during Mutant Massacre and with what do they call it? X Factor. Living Mummy, Willie Lumpkin. I'm just trying to turn. I'm curious to know. I guess I can just look it up by the name. Oh yeah, so there were the new Marauders. Oops, there. Malice, which was Lorna Dane, Polaris. I loved that. I loved Lorna Dane. I like green hair. Love green hair, and she had like the skunk hair, not skunk hair as in color, but like the kind of like devilly looking Wolverine hair that Rogue had at the time. And they did it with Polaris, and then when she was Malice, I loved Malice. I loved the costume design and everything. That was cool. Of course, Vertigo. See, that's what they should in that pack. They should have packed in Malice. That would have been awesome. But they didn't. Wheezy's in there. She showed up a lot in the Sensational She-Hulk comic Master Mold. I kind of showed you that before. There's that issue where that's when that's right before. Yeah, that's right. That's leads up to it. So there's the issue where Rogue fights the Master Mold, and is Carol Danvers in it, or she's wearing Carol Danvers' costume, the Blackbird costume, and then of course that's when she goes. Yeah, next issue is when she goes through the Siege Perilous, the day that broke my heart. Megan, obviously Excalibur. Again, 89's when Mr. Sinister. It just had happened. Inferno had just happened. Yeah, I didn't make it too far past Inferno. I mean, where I was really into comics. Here and there, I picked up. Is it me or does this character look a lot like Whoopi Goldberg? Oh wait, why am I on the? You know what? Can't see any of these. I'm sorry. Let's go with the big camera. There we go. I'm still trying to show you these pages in the little box there. Karen Page, May. Just wondering if they have what's her face in here. The Goblin Queen. Oh, there's Psylocke. The armored Psylocke. The Betsy Braddock armored Psylocke. The British version. What was oh yeah, that's this guy. Razorback shows up in Sensational She-Hulk. What the heck? The Goblin Queen. What's her name? Madeline Pryor. Is Madeline Pryor here? I've got to R, so did I miss Pryor? Or is it under M for Madeline? There's Power Woman. Oh, you know what it is? I forgot. Pryor. I forgot. Is this how they do this weird thing where it's like they start with. Yeah, they start with certain letters in each. It's not a continuation of the alphabet. It kind of starts and stops all over the place. Of course, now it says it's in T. I really like this. I got some Solo. I believe that's a McFarlane or a Liefeld drawing. I think it's Liefeld. Oh, maybe it's Eric Larson. Remember when Solo shows up in Spider-Man? I had a kid in high school sitting next to me at one class, and I said, "Hey, can you draw this guy? Just draw him right out of the book." I just wanted to see because I like that guy's art, and he couldn't draw. He couldn't redraw this character. I'm like, "Well, what's going on?" It was weird. She's got to be in here. Oh, it's Typhoid Mary. I know she's not in the original. I'm not a huge Daredevil fan, and I didn't read a lot of Daredevil, but I did read those issues of Typhoid. I really like Typhoid Mary. I think she looks amazing. Cool-looking character. Of course, there's Vertigo. Great drawing of Vertigo. Really nice-looking drawing. And Venom. And then Mary Jane. I don't think she was in... It looks like an Eric Larson drawing. I think see, that's the Mary Jane that I like. I like the original Mary Jane. The Romita Senior Mary Jane. I'm pretty sure she's in here. I'm just totally missing her. Is there I don't think they got a master. No, because they do it by issue. But I was almost positive they had Madeline Pryor in here as the Goblin Queen, but maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's just Madeline Pryor right before she does that, when she's on in the Down Under issues, when she goes, because she goes with the X-Men. So there's the update. So that's good. So we're pretty much on schedule here. So I wanted to get those out of the way because, like I said, Marvel Universe is a huge part of my comic book, my comic book experience. I would say that it's probably one of the most pivotal and most influential, most important aspects of my whole Marvel experience, a comic book experience in general. I'll get into it later. I'll do a special issue on it, but at the time in '87, they're also doing the DC Who's Who, which is DC's version. I don't like it as much. It's laid out a little differently, and it's DC, so everything looks differently, but I'll go over those sometime too. I got all CBRs and stuff for those. I got really good ones too, so you can see those. I just love, call it the collecting. So I collect action figures, all this stuff. I like the cataloging of characters. I love the cataloging of monsters, like Monster Manual, all that stuff. I love folios, or whatever you want to call them, catalogs, or databases, just collections of characters or monsters, creatures, whatever you name it, things. I love to pore over it, and I love to cross-reference it, and I love to research it, and I love everything about that. And of course, that's being a comic book collector, it's kind of what you do anyways. Well, let's see. I'm gonna think tomorrow. Well, no, this is the end of the week. Oh, it's Friday. Okay, so episode 21. When I kick up from there, I think I might cover that comics, how to draw comics book. I think that's probably a good time to throw that in. I just recently reread it. I don't think I've done it yet. No, I don't have a CBR of it or a PDF. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to do the flippy flip do. I'm probably going to talk more about it than really show you the examples in the book. I mean, you're more than welcome to seek it out. The Thrift Books has a few copies of it. Go check them out. Try to get a copy of it. It's a great book to have. If you're people who come to me and say, hey, what are the best books on how to draw comics? I'm going to say that's probably number 2, if not number 1. Definitely number 2 if after Marvel's How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. But again, like I said, this is a better book. It's got more information in it. So, all right, I'm probably going to do that on Monday. From there, I don't have anything on pre-order that's coming in at the moment that I know of. I think I've covered everything my new acquisitions. So I'll probably cover that book, and then I might jump back into, maybe I'll do Fall of the Mutants with X-Men. People seem to like the Mutant Massacre episode, so I'll probably follow that up with Fall of the Mutants. And then I'll start digging into Spider-Man, do some Spider-Man stuff as well. Just want to, before I go, I just want to let you know, I was, I guess I can show you. Go to my comic books, DC. Okay, so I'm starting to put together, speaking of collecting and databases and stuff, I'm starting to put together this. I've started this before with Marvel, but I'm doing it with DC more because I'm unfamiliar with, familiar at the same time unfamiliar. This is when I started, 87 is when I started getting DC, because the guy I met, he was into DC. The Watchmen was still in full force at this time. They were just finishing up Dark Knight, because I think Dark Knight started late 86. So this is pretty much the dawn of the modern age of comic books, and this is when I started to finally get into DC more than just a couple issues here and there, and I started picking up DC on a somewhat regular basis. When Justice League International started, that's when I did, which is in the same year. It's just not in January. And Byrne was doing Superman and stuff. But I'm going to go over this too. I'm putting together CBR files of my comics by month and year, so I can build the 80s. And, if you want to say, hey, what came out in January of 1987? This is what came out from DC. you know, and then I go through. I did this with Marvel. I started reading, like, I read like 84, 85, and 86, every comic that they put out in those 3 years. Some of them I had, some of them I already read, some of them were new to me for the first time. And that's the thing I tell people too. People are like, well, you know what, I don't like new comics. Well, you know what? There are thousands of comic books, old comic books, and they're all, if you've never read them, they're all new to you. So, you know, some of them hold up, some of them are a little dated. I personally like that. I like when you're reading a comic and, you know, there's no cell phones, you know, there's no modern references. I like that. I like when they reference like older things, just because that's of my time. So I'm putting that together. I'll probably go back and start doing the Marvel one as well and put that back together. I started it, then I got kind of overwhelmed and stopped. But I'm doing that with, I'm starting with 87. I'll probably do 88 next. I'm just going to jump around in the 80s. I'll eventually do all of 80 through 89 for what I can find. Some of the stuff I can't, like this Angel Love, I can't find a CBR of this. I can't find a CBR of the Star Trek comic, oddly enough. I swear I've seen the CBRs of these with scans, so there's a couple of, otherwise I got most of them already here. Alright, so let's finish up this video. Alright, it is done. So I will catch you on Monday, and we're going to do the how to draw comics and sell them book that I have. Alright, talk to you then. Bye-bye.